Hello everyone. Welcome to this exciting course titled Sustainability for Future Generations, which deals with concept technology and global prospects. First of all, I want to introduce myself. Myself, Dr. P. Swaminaga Ratnagiri, Associate Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, SR University, Warangal. In this course, we are supposed to have 10 modules, which is going to divide into 10 sessions. So, first session is going to be deal with the introduction to the sustainability and future generations. So, second session, which will going to be deal with the circular economy from linear to regenerative systems. And the third one is about the sustainability, waste management, and resource recovery. Fourth one is about the life cycle assessment for sustainable decision making. And fifth one is about the carbon capture, storage, and utilization. Sixth is we are going to deal with the renewable energy technologies for sustainable future. Seventh is about the green buildings and how to integrate the sustainable infrastructure to achieve the sustainability. And the fourth is about integrating the artificial intelligence and smart technologies for the sustainability. And ninth is about the water sustainability and climate resilience. And the 10 is about the integrating about all policies, innovation, and the global responsibility. To over of all these 10 sessions will be completely discuss about the sustainability aspects of uh, for future generation, next gen. So that is the main concept of dealing about this subject. So let me go into the each and every module of this sessions by session. So first we let me learn about what is mean by sustainability. As we know that this course is going to be a familiar subject for all the branches, for all the branches of engineering as well as the science people as well as the UG or PG. But this course will help us to integrate how we can improve our sustainability aspects in day-to-day life and engaging the sustainable aspect in all the aspects. I hope you will enjoy this course. So as I am starting this the first session, so we'll have more detailed information about the sustainability aspect. So let's go and we'll discuss about the sustainability. And I welcome all the viewers and subscribers to have this view and get the likes as well as subscribe and get the knowledge of getting the sustainability aspect. So first we learn what is meant by sustainability. We know that. So most of the scenarios, wherever we go for the aspects, most of the cases will deal with the integrating about the sustainability. So, but where it started? So most of the common thing we have started in the way back of the history in 1987. UN is the United Nations Commissions. Most of them have developed the report stating that the Broden Act. So stating that the sustainability is the needs which the present people should be sustained without compromising the future generations ability as well as the living nature. All these things will be done by the well improvising the process or optimizing in a better way. That is the main agenda of the sustainability. Without compromising the present needs, the future generation should be sustained. So that is the main agenda of the sustainability. As United Nations, we know that. So they developed the committee. They have clearly given the mention that how we are going to go for the sustainability aspects. We all know that nowadays what is happening, there is a crisis about the due to the world wars. Different countries have prioritized their wars. Because of that, we are most of the regions where we are shortage of the crude oils. So that is the main way of depending upon the future generations. We have to think about the no need of depends upon the other countries. So we have to be the self-sustainable. So that was the self-sustenance is that one. So we have to create our own innovations to get without harming the global warming potentials. So let's discuss one by one. So sustainability rests on the most of the cases which have the three-dimensional interconnected. Most of the things we have to protect our environment. Why? Because we all know that environment is one of the most important precise thing where your CO2 emissions are increasing day by day and your living environment is going to collapse. So to address all these issues, we are supposed to protect our environmental. That is the first interconnecting dimension in the sustainability. Next one is the social well-being. Yes, all together we have to connect to each other. Maybe the cultural differences, maybe the different habituates. All together we have to socially well-being. We have to accommodate all together as we have to create the awareness among the peoples to be sustainability living aspects in the culture, community, as well as the engaging the local and regional, national level. So how we are going to well-being are going to be connected. Next is economic priority. prosperity. So recently, Narendra Modi sir, PM of India, has clearly mentioned that in up to 1 year, you are not supposed to buy the golds, as well as you are not going to be have the work from the home. It's going to be better. So then he's cut down the energy crisis. So it will be in India will going to be the boost up in economy, as well as the crisis is going to be down. So this was the main example. We are going to discuss about the different aspects of examples as well as the content. So I hope this course will be engaging with all the peoples. So as we know that nowadays we are focusing about the energy transmission from one part to the one way to the other way. Like small example, it depends upon the crude oil. We are converting into the first is the gasoline, next we are going to convert into the electricity. Then maybe electricity will generate with the other than the non-renewable resources or renewable resources, where we are condemning the non-renewable resources or reducing the fossil fuels. So let's see, for example, the solar power plant emissions will be reduced, as well as the jobs will be altered, and new technology will be emissions. So all these things will be help us to improvise the various aspects. So why I'm talking about this, all these things for the future generation needs. So what is this? So for every engineering, whatever the technology you have, it's take a long term consequences to implement the new technology. But once it is implemented, we will be discussing about what is the pros, cons, and all these things. So when we oversee this groundwater or future communicates, first we have to face the shortage of the material because of the future requirement. Most of the overuses of the groundwater because of surface runoff is not there. We have to depend upon the groundwater utilization. So, but future communities or future communication communities will be difficulties in the facing about this or scarcity of the water. So, when we burn fossil fuels, greenhouse gas emissions accumulates and influence the climate degrades. So, due to this climate degradations, what is going to happen? Unpredictable rainfall, unpredictable heat waves. So all these things will be facing a serious issues for the future generation. So when we generate the plastic waste of use, that is a solid waste management. So we have to maintain proper solid waste management in an ecosystem for centuries. Then we have the future generation depends upon the choices we make today. It will be better for the tomorrow's people. That was the main agenda of this making of sustainability aspects in each and every aspect. Whatever the industry they have developed, whatever the community we have developed, you have to maintain a proper sustainable ethical. Most of the case, we have to integrate the policies. We have to develop the green technologies. So sustainability is a fundamental and ethical commitment we have to give for the technical discipline we have to maintain for future generation people. This course is the mainly focusing about the objectives. What we learn is that we should learn about the sustainability principles and how to integrate this to assess the environmental tools, then emerging the green technologies to integrate the sustainability aspects, and policy and governance and frameworks. And we have to think about the role of the engineers and innovators. By end of this course, we should learn about that how we are connecting the technical knowledge with the practical implication of the sustainability aspects. That is the course objective of discussing about the sustainability for the future generations, where we discuss about what could be the basic level of sustainability needs is required to sustain this maybe the earth, as well as the environment, as well as the public domain societal problems, as well as we have to think about the new technology which can integrate to reduce the global warming potential. Let's discuss about the first point where I'm going to discuss about in the session one. So session one is about the introduction to the sustainability and the future generation. So in this session, we clearly mention about what could be the sustainability aspects, how to integrate with this one, and what is could be the meaning of sustainability. As I mentioned in the one word, but in detail we'll discuss in the next sessions coming about how the triple bottom line. What is this triple bottom line? Triple bottom line is always triple bottom line means what? Always we have to think about the planet, people, and the profit. That is economic boost up. If this triple bottom line is perfectly all right, we can go for the what sort of SDGs was there, and how to reach out these SDGs. So sustainable development goals, and how we are concentrated on the global environmental challenges. So most of the cases, this session will highlight the conceptual framework for the rest of the course. So this will help. The first session is always to be the base where you understand the sustainability aspects and how to integrate this sustainability for the future generation. And the second session is about the how we are going to create a circular economy which will deals with the different aspects from various aspects where you start of manufacturing of different products, where the circular economy will help us to integrate with different various modules from cradle to grave, grave to grave, cradle to gate. These are the three concepts of circular economy where most of the things will be discussed in the life cycle analysis. But in circular economy, we should know how much amount of cost was integrated into the from product to the dispose. So that is the cost analysis. So how we are going to boost up our economy, whether there is a recycling process or we are going to provide the refurbishment, repair and recycle, remanufacture the because we cannot utilize as long as the raw material as like and we have to throw it out. That is called as the linear model. We never think about the circular economy at that time. Most of the linear economy models will be wastage of lot of materials, raw materials. Then we are not thinking about the supplement of the chain. Then that is a huge problem in the industry. That's why now every industry is focusing about the circular economy model. So what is this circular economy model? What is circular economy help us to think about the how we can reuse or recycle or refurbishment of the product already just existed for the 10 years or 15 years up to the life cycle. Then we will be discussing about the what alteration can be made to the product to enhance the life quality as well as the recovery, recycle and resupply refurbishment to extend his life up to 5 years is going to be better for you say that's called as energy recovery. Maybe due to of using of incinerations or some other process we can incorporate and then we can develop the material degradation. That was the main content we'll be discussing about the circular economy. Most of the case how the product was designed and what's are the material groups as well as the business models that minimize the waste. Next is about the session number 3 is about the sustainable waste management. So how we are going to manage the solid waste management. So why I'm telling the solid waste is you see nowadays there are different waste coming from the different industries. So most of the cases which one will be the huge impact is going to be there. The first one is the landfilling and next one is the global warming potential, that is CO2 emissions from each every industry. Any energy industry will consume more amount of fossil fuels from the outside. That waste byproducts are coming from the waste. So that waste should be effectively managed and it should be utilized in a proper way. How we can segregate it and how we can recycle it and we can go for any compositing. And we have to think about to generate the waste to energy recycling process technologies. Already these several countries are integrating and most of the products we are recycling, still there is a gap we have to discuss. And how we can make the more amount of, for example I am saying there are a lot of waste are generating day to day life in the municipal solid waste, still we are making it a burning to the open space and we are filling it in the landfills at the outskirts of the cities and lot of pollutions and land degradations. So still we have to think about million tons of waste are generated in the cities. So that was the main idea of discussing about this session. Definitely this session will help us to get the integration of the how to manage the sustainable waste management. Get the energy from the waste is the one of the best technology. Now we have to think about the various startups they already started and how to integrate this waste to recycling process. So then we think about the real world problems as well as the urban systems what we are facing with the solid waste management. So this is one of the important criteria why I'm taking the session as a three module. So first we'll discuss about the sustainability aspect, then I come to the integrating with the sustainable aspect to the renewable energy cycling, that is called as a circular economy. And if you think about the second model is about the sustainable waste management. And then once you know the circular economy model, then the session 4 is about the life cycle assessment. Yes, we required this analysis for every industry should pick up one person who will do the life cycle analysis about the process alteration as well as the we have to integrate different products manufacturing and we have to know what could be the carbon amount energy and what are the emissions of carbon and how much amount of quantity of the cost was integrated and how the metal quantity is integrating, how to optimize this metal process, raw metal exclusion as well as the manufacturing process, distribution. All these things will integrate into the LCA analysis and finally the product will becomes. Then we have to understand how the waste disposal is going to be happen. Then we are how to recycling that one and again we start with the new raw metal exclusion. So these are all very important by doing the life cycle assessment is very important for the sustainability aspect of the second fourth module, which is going to discuss about the LCA analysis where we start with the raw material to the product base, that is cradle to gate and cradle to grave, cradle to cradle. So these are the different three aspects where we are going to discuss in detail. About the fourth module is about the life cycle analysis. I hope this session will help us most of the people to know about what is the importance of this life cycle assessment of each and every product should be done. So then only we should knowing that how pros and cons will go into there. Then we have to alter the production of this any industry. So that will the main major object. So this is the uh, why we are supposed to go LC analysis and how it will help to the improvement of the sustainability. Then about the fifth session is about carbon capturing. Yes, is a new technology. Nowadays, we are thinking about the carbon credits. So most of the cases, we know that how in future there will be a carbon credit. That means if any industry is generating more amount of carbons, someone should buy that. So someone should be payable for that. Someone is for the industry should be payable for huge amount of carbon emissions are going. How to cut down that carbon? That is called the carbon credit. So definitely in future, we are supposed to pay for that, for huge amount of emissions to the already some countries are imposed for per annum. This is the only possible way of quantification of CO2 emissions should be done. After that, your company is responsible to pay an extra amount for the emissions of that CO2 into the atmosphere. So that means carbon capturing is needed there, and new technology should be integrated by the industry where they have to utilize it and repurpose and restorage and as well as the storage purpose of the carbon. What were the emissions are going on? This is the new technology is the CCUS. Already Indian government has as more of the projects are implemented in various industries. Sure, this will be happens in the every industry. So we will discuss about the how this carbon capture storage utilization session will help us in reducing the CO2 and utilizing in a proper way and storage methods also, because these are the very important considerations we have to think about how to storage this CO2 capturing methods, as well as the how the geological storage will be happens, because we cannot store in the tank. We have to depend upon the either we have to depend, we will discuss how we are going to storage that and how to mineralize it in a proper way. Already in a civil engineering background, we are utilizing it in a proper way, utilizing in the concrete development, which will enhance its uh, strength properties the early stage. We'll discuss about the application about this carbon capture and storage in detail. Is clearly vision is in this picture is clearly say that. So whatever the carbon capture we are doing, we are going to utilize it is in a proper way. So there we can see the silos or whatever the carbon emissions are going on. This all be stored in different ways under the water bodies or under the earth rocks. So we'll discuss in detail about the carbon capture storage and relation. That is called CCUS. Is a new technology, how to integrate with the sustainability aspects and how to decrease this, especially in the we will discuss in detail about this carbon capture storage and utilization in a proper manner. Then we will be having the sixth session is having about renewable energy technique. As I earlier told, most of the cases we are depending upon the fossil fuels, that is which are non-renewable energy source system. Fossil fuels means like we are depends upon the coal, most of the cases petroleum products, diesel and gas. These are the products which are non-renewable energy, so which may be extracted from the earth crust. But these renewable energy technologies will help us to cut down the CO2 emissions, and also we can improve the um, economy boost up without depending upon crude oils which are exported from the different countries, so imported from the different countries. That is the main agenda of discussing about the renewable energy technologies. So you can see that what are the different renewable energy in this figure is clearly visible that. So one is that geothermal energy, where we are depends upon earth crust, how the geothermal extracted from the earth crust, due to the extraction of large amount of heat which is come from the earth crust. Then we are capturing the earth heats. Then we are going to convert that heat into the mechanical energy. That is the main agenda of using of this geothermal energy. Next is about the solar energy. All we are aware of that, as Indian government also given subsidies for integrating of the solar energy. And next is the biomass. The biomass is one of the wonderful technology. Sorry. So biomass is one of the important sector where we are collecting the large amount of the biomass, and then we are converting into the energy process. Then we have the hydropower energy, because more amount of water is required for this, mostly in the dams and reservoirs. We have to set up this hydropower energy. Next is the wind energy. These are the region based. We cannot set up these windmills as wherever the but apart from this, the solar energy and biomass is one of the renewable best energies where we can concentrate. And you can see here how much amount of wind energy we can generate, how much amount of hydropower energy, solar energy, biomass, and geothermal. So most of the cases we can see that wind energy, hydropower energy, solar energy, and biomass and geothermal. Wind energy is going to give more amount of energy is the hilly region, so which will help us to create more amount of energy. And then we have the green hydrogen energy, next level of that one, where you have to think about hydrogen, how to molecules to integrate this to convert into the energy. So this session is completely will discuss about the renewable energy technologies, so where we are depends upon what sort of renewable energy we are focusing on, and how to integrate this renewable energy in a proper way. Next is session is about the green building and sustainability infrastructure. So as we know that we are very familiar about the SDG. I will discuss about in the first session what are the SDG goals. So, but before that, this overview of this session is about the session number seven is about green buildings and sustainable infrastructure. So, building account for a significant energy use and emissions. Most of the we know that whenever we are manufacturing the infrastructure, energy consumption is very high, like electricity maybe due to the heats, lighting. And that is the main integration of this green building is what integrating with the environment, integrating with the environment and designing in a proper way, stating that low energy efficiency, utilizing of low carbon materials for the manufacturing, and integrating of new um, buildings which is having the zero net energy requirement, that is called net zero buildings. So all nowadays we are people are designing for the net zero buildings, where net zero means what, whatever energy is required the building should be generated, maybe through the solar power energy, maybe the carbon emissions should be reduced. So rating the system to the lead and GRA ratings, where we'll discuss about this all the points in detail with the session number 7, that is green buildings and sustainable infrastructure. So this is very important session. Why? Because so all we know that green buildings is one of the important parameter, and how to get the sustainable infrastructure in future generations people. So why? Because nowadays due to the lot of heat waves we cannot live in a concrete buildings, so we have to think about the cooling of the concrete. We cannot avoid the concrete because of the high resistance of the load impact. We cannot avoid the RCC, but we can make it as a cool by integrating of new sustainability aspects into the concrete modeling. So that will help us to cool down the panels, improving of thermal and thermal cooling system. And where you are going to have the roofing system should be adopted there, like thermal cooling, thermal insulation panels. So where we can clearly have a zone of creating a green building, which will help us to maintain a proper. How can effectively we can manage this net zero building manufacturing. This session will definitely help us to know about how to manufacture green building and how to integrate with the sustainability aspects in infrastructure development in each and every aspect. Then is about the nowadays we people are thinking about the AI. AI is already came. It's about the 5 years back itself. Now it is sixth year we are running. In 2020 it was introduced. Now we see how much amount of changes over is there in each and every sector. Not only in a software, there will be a changeover for the different industries. Maybe a mechanical, civil engineer, or electrical engineer, or EC or a CSE. Now we are seeing more amount of boom in the CSE. Maybe that we cannot avoid that. There will be integrating of the different industries like civil engineering aspects also. So how we are going to integrate is up to our zone, where we are depending upon large amount of data sets, that is the artificial intelligence is needed. So for example is the energy forecasting, we can depend upon application of the AI models to how to identify the energy levels in the building, and waste sorting about, so how to model IoT system. So waste should reduction should panels should be integrated, that's called as the creating of the smart motherboards or monitoring system. And water quality monitoring, every see cleaning of the overhead tanks or some, so whatever the pipeline system is there, we have to depend upon the water quality management also. So we have to know monitoring regularly how water quality is integrating, and predictive maintenance is required for this top of where this AI is integrating each and every zones. You see here, whenever you thought about the smart cities, so this artificial intelligence in sustainability will help us to integrate the in different ways. That is why this called nowadays Indian government has developed given a smart cities development where is integrating of AI productions or AI modeling, AI based products. So why I am saying all these things is we can see here clearly wind energy integration. Why? Because most of the cases wind energy should be the most important criteria in hilly regions. Then is the smart irrigation system and the green zones as well as the EV charging stations. So all this should be integrated with the AI system, so that will be help us the artificial intelligence in sustainability aspects integration. So that's the reason why eighth session is about the artificial intelligence as the in sustainability growth. So next is about the session number 9 is about the water sustainability and climate resilience. So whenever you think about this water sustainability, as I said earlier, so water is a circular economy and resilience. Why? Because we cannot throw the water as you like. So we have to think about how to get in a proper way. Rainwater harvest system should be incorporated. In detail, we will discuss it the session by session. This is the overview of the session which I am discussing. 10 modules. So this is the ninth module is about the water sustainability and climate resilience. Why? Because why I am taking this one is you see water is a circular economy. Why I am saying you see here, whenever the nature is giving to us, maybe nature, all the things are given by the nature only. We have to maintain in a proper way. So, for example, you see the rain will be fall from the hydrological cycle. So, from the hydrological cycle, we are nature is going to supply to the cities, and there onwards, industries to generate the energy, and you get the agriculture prospect for the there where how you can recover and reuse and restore the water. We cannot say that it's a wastewater and you continuously draw it onto the open lands or seas. We have to recovery models should be done, and how to preserve this water. Most of the case we have to depend upon the available various resilient and most of the design aspects of how to reduce the waste and generate the high energy reduce and products. So that was the main idea of this creating about this water sustainability and getting the reuse and recycle about the water in different aspects, and we have to integrate with the sustainability prospects, and then we have to depend upon water shortages, and we can flood mitigations and climate adaptation is one of the most important criteria to discuss this session is what how to manage this water supply system and how to recycle the wastewater generation from various industry or agriculture, and how to maintain this probability of climate changes and climate adaptation to the decreasing of water scarcity. So this is about the session about the water sustainability and the climate resilience. Next one is about the this all sessions we discuss about the sustainability aspects. Then 10th one is about the process of the implementation. We should know how to implement these sustainability aspects into our day-to-day life. That's why this require the integrating of the high-level policies and innovations and global responsibility to integrate about this SDG, that is sustainability development goals. So we also need to plan or implement effective policy integration to the industry as well as the community engagement. Responsible governance should be there at the government level, and ESG framework should be framed, and we have to maintain the sustainability lifestyles and global cooperation. So this session will clearly mention about this how we can integrate this technical social dimensions of the sustainability. So this is the overview of the 10 modules. I hope you people have understood. So you see here clearly what sort of things we are discussing in the first module of that is the introduction to the my course, as well as the objectives of this course, and as well as why future generation needs this type of sustainability aspects. Then what are the different sessions modules we have discussed here. So it was clearly mentioned. So why we need to discuss have these 10 modules for the sustainabilities for future generation, where about discussing about various aspects. So most of the cases we are discussing in this session about why this subject is need and what are the objectives of the subject, and why future generation people should learn about this course. As we know that clearly mentioned that sustainability is one of the important role aspects to discuss in various domains. So that was the main reason we are focused about most of the cases how we can integrate these sustainability aspects in a better way. Then we have the meaning of the sustainability. Then we are discussed about different modules of the section. This is the first part of the video of the first session. We will discuss next one. So that is where we can start the Second part of this session is integrating about this policies, innovation, and global responsibility. As we know that sustainability is one of the important parameter nowadays. Why? Because we are not supposed to avoid sustainability aspect in day-to-day life. So why? Because we should learn what could be the global potential requirement in each and every aspects, and we are supposed to have in a integrating with all the things which are happening because of the scarcity of large amount of raw materials. That was the main drawback. So that's the reason why every government was seeking for the sustainability development. So how we will achieve this? So what could be the outcome of this sustainability aspect? We should learn emerging technology of the sustainability aspects, as well as evaluate the sustainability solutions and resource systems. And we have the things where we learn about the sustainability in designing systems. That is one of the important aspect, how we are designing the infrastructure in a proper way. Not only infrastructure, integrating about designing of sustainability principles into the each and every goal. So then we have clear, sound, and economical value will be increased, and socially inclusive, as well as the environmentally we are responsible for this. So these are the one of the important way where we can integrate policy implementations, innovations, as well as the global responsibilities. So when you do this, so students are the most important parameters here, where you people can concentrate of integrating, developing of new products. So resilience and researchers, engineers. So we have the role for shaping of future. That is the main objective. That is the reason of this course is more important. An UG candidate can integrate this one and develop a one product based model, which can be go for the further of developing of new uh, patenting. Then we have to go for the technology transfer, that is the entrepreneurship or startup. So this course is help us in different prospects. Sure, it will be integrating with the all the aspects with the 10 modules. So one more thing I want to say that the future generations people should concentrate more about the saving of energy in all the aspects. If you are wasting about the material like Gen Z generations, you are going to face the difficulties in your middle age. So at middle age of the 40 to 50, at that time there is a lot of burden on your financial crisis. So like to try to understand, and I wish all the people should integrate this sort of principles, so that will help us in all the aspects wherever you think about in various possibilities way. So that was the main agenda of this video, so which will help us you to integrate. So next session we will discuss about the module 1, that is introduction to the sustainability aspects, as well as integrating this all the principles. Definitely the first session will be knowing the idea of this course. So thank you for joining this course. I look forward to exploring the these topics within you session ahead. So thank you one and all the viewers and subscribers. Thank you. This is my first video in YouTube. All of you encourage this, and we will learn all together. Any things we will needed, you can comment and we will be learn together, or else we can integrate to each other. You can have this contact with me in LinkedIn profile, Dr. P. Somnagar Ratnagiri, and we have Facebook access. That is the end of the first module. Thank you.